This is a story about how the greatest military empire on earth got completely outsmarted by 2,000 burning cows. In the 3rd century BC, the Roman Republic was the big bully on the block. They had the best shields, the straightest roads, and an ego larger than Mount Olympus. They thought they were completely invincible. But across the Mediterranean Sea, someone was building a weapon specifically designed to humble them. Enter Carthage, and their golden boy, Hannibal Barca. Now, Hannibal didn't just dislike Rome, it was his literal family tradition. When he was just 9 years old, his dad made him swear a blood oath over a fire to never, ever be a friend to Rome. Talk about intense parenting. And boy, did he keep that promise. Fast forward a few decades. Hannibal grows up, gathers an army, and decides to do the most illegal thing possible: march right into Rome's backyard. To get there, he literally marched his entire army, including 37 war elephants, directly over the freezing, snowy Alps. Because why take a boat when you can freeze your giant tropical animals to death? The Romans woke up, looked out their windows, and saw elephants in the garden. Hannibal proceeded to absolutely crush 3 entire Roman armies in a row. Rome was in complete shambles. Desperate, the Roman Senate appointed a dictator, Quintus Fabius Maximus. The people called him the Snail, because his master strategy was to literally never fight Hannibal. Brilliant. Instead, Fabius just followed Hannibal around the Italian countryside, camping on hills, cutting off his food supplies, and being a massive, passive-aggressive nuisance. For months, this annoying strategy actually worked. Hannibal was getting frustrated. And then, due to a massive guide mix-up, Hannibal accidentally marched his tired army straight into a valley called Ager Falernus. The valley was beautiful, filled with food and wine. But strategically, it was a complete tomb. It was surrounded by steep mountains, a raging river, and only 3 tiny, narrow exits. Fabius the Snail realized the blunder immediately. He quickly sent thousands of Roman legions to block all 3 exits. Hannibal was completely boxed in. No food, winter was coming, and the entire Roman army was staring down at him from the cliffs. It was checkmate. Fabius was so confident he literally sat back and decided to just wait for Hannibal to starve. He was probably drafting his victory speech. Down in the valley, Hannibal's generals went to his tent, sweating bullets, expecting some grand, dramatic final speech. His cavalry commander, Hannibal, looked at him and asked for the plan. Hannibal looked up and calmly said, "Gather all the cattle." Hannibal was completely confused. "Sir, we are going to die. Why are we planning a barbecue right now?" But Hannibal was playing 4D chess. In the dead of night, the Carthaginians rounded up 2,000 longhorn cows. Hannibal ordered his men to tie bundles of dry wood to the cows' horns. Then they set the wood on fire. Yes, they literally created an army of flaming beef. On Hannibal's signal, the soldiers smacked the cows on the backside, driving the blazing herd straight up the steep mountainside toward one of the exits. Up on the cliffs, a Roman soldier named Cassius was guarding the pass. Suddenly, he looked into the darkness and saw thousands of bright lights moving rapidly up the mountain. Now, remember, the Romans had big eyes and even bigger imaginations. Cassius and his buddies didn't think, "Oh look, cows." They thought, "Oh no, Hannibal's army is trying to outflank us by flying up the mountain." Panic erupted. The Roman soldiers completely abandoned their defensive posts at the main exit and rushed over to fight what they thought was the Carthaginian army. When they got there, they didn't find Hannibal. They found 2,000 very angry, very confused, burning cows, charging through the trees. The battlefield was pure, unhinged chaos. While the Romans were busy fighting a literal stampede of fiery stake, Hannibal looked at the now completely unguarded valley exit and gave the order. The Carthaginian army, with all their stolen treasure and supplies, quietly marched right out of the valley through the front door, completely untouched. The next morning, the sun came up. Fabius looked down into the valley, expecting a starving enemy ready to surrender. Instead, the valley was completely empty. Hannibal was gone. Rome was humiliated, and Fabius had to explain to the Senate why his glorious victory was ruined by a bunch of farm animals. The Romans had thousands of soldiers, fortified mountain passes, a perfect trap. Hannibal had cows. History remembers who won. If you enjoyed this completely ridiculous true story, subscribe, because trust me, history only gets weirder. See ya.